Hello. It says I'm live. Holy crap, it's working on YouTube. 2 days in a row, I guess. Hello, Mike. Hello, Elaine. Hello, anybody else who's hanging out? I gotta make sure this is actually working proper. Like, how's everybody doing? Can you hear me? Is the music too loud? You know, the usual questions and things and stuff. Things and stuff and stuff and things. All right, so do a little jamming. Can you hear the music? Trying to synchronize my settings. So here's what I'm trying to do. Lightroom's being stupid. Anyway, if you didn't watch it yesterday, and was it yesterday? Yeah, it was. Yesterday, Angela and I did a FaceTime photo shoot. And these are the photos from that photo shoot. So I'm just going to bring one up so you can see, you know, get an idea of what we're talking about here. So the idea was get together over, we use Skype, not FaceTime, but you get the idea. Get together over FaceTime, and I would direct. We came up with the concept together, and then I would shoot by capturing screenshots. So in doing so, we're very much embracing the low quality aspect of this, because clearly it's not raw. It's not even a particularly large image. It's like, you know, it's about HD, 1920 by 1080. If you look here, you can see the on the EXIF information here, it's 1916 by 982. So yes, I was using screen capture, and you know, obviously, if you zoom in here, you can see like there's not a lot of detail. There's not a lot of, you know, there's no raw data, stuff like that. So I'm not even sure what kind of editing I'm going to do to these. Like that all by itself is going to be kind of an interesting journey, me deciding what to even do as far as editing goes. Hello, Camille. So I didn't actually, I mean, the camera that I used technically was Angela's webcam, because we did this over Skype and I captured the images as screenshots. So like I said, like we were totally embracing the low quality aspect of this. So the first thing I wanted to do is just run through and make a couple of selections, do a little bit of culling here, and then monkey around a little bit with the editing. So in Lightroom, I'm gonna test the raw edits and just see what I can do. But I mean, as far as like, you know, recovering, you know, as an example, this obviously isn't, I made Angela laugh at exactly the wrong time, right? But if I try, like I can do a little bit of highlight recovery. Obviously, if I go too far, it starts to look a little bit gross. You know, so there's some latitude here, even with a JPEG, but it's not tremendous. Hey, Vicky, how you doing? Yeah, I'm curious to see what I'm going to do as well. So let's just go through, and that was a setup shot. And let's make some selects here. Yeah, I didn't dig these as much, but I liked here where we started playing with this. I love that halo. Although if I look at that halo, it looks a little bit out of place. The hair was a little bit too. I like that one. I think I like that one. Please make vlog tutorial about real life family group photography, indoor and outdoor. Hello, 412. How's it going? Thank you. Yeah, I like looking down better than looking at the camera for this particular shot. I think it connects with the feathers better, whereas here with the feathers, they just sort of distract. Good, glad to hear that. Camille, I can't promise anything, but I will see about doing there's a possibility I'll do that tutorial. I'm going to have to blow my nose here, so pardon me for a moment. Hello, Christopher Davis. How's it going? The sneeze going to go away or not? We don't know. It's gone away. All right. So I think I'm going to earmark this one as a potential edit. And then we got the globe out, the green globe. I don't like that one. Here I like can't decide if I want the eyes up or the eyes down. Eyes down connects you with the globe, and if I add a little bit of editing magic to the globe, I can actually light that globe up. So I think I'm going to play with that one, but I'm also going to mark this one as a keeper because I like that one as well. I like her fingers that way better. So then we ended up, this was super interesting, trying to align this right for her face in the ball. I'm not sure how I feel about these. I might just put a bit of a glow inside of that ball as well and not worry about the reflection so much. Karsten Lund, hello! Greetings from Wisconsin. Thank you very much. I'm glad you just found the channel. I'm glad you're enjoying my videos. Thank you. Tutorial live taking group photos on different scenarios. I mean, there's lots and lots of different scenarios. Like, what kind of scenarios are you talking about? And so for this, I think it would just be a matter of, like, figuring out which one is sort of lined up the best. Well, I think I like this one. So we'll mark that one. That one doesn't work because the eyes are up. This one could work too, so I'll just kind of earmark those. I don't want to do a full cull here because that'll take too much time. Now this was fun, trying to get it just right so that she had like the giant eyeball in there, which is super funny. Oh yeah, okay, so Elaine had a question and I promised I'd answer this once the stream started. So Elaine's question is, what's my live stream setup basically? So I'm gonna run through how that works. And anybody else who's interested in the setup, if you have questions about it, feel free to ask. So I'm editing on my iPad, and I have a camera that's capturing me. So both of those are connected via HDMI to capture cards that are in my PC. Now I used actual PCIe internal, capture cards, but you don't have to have internal capture cards for that. There are external capture devices that work, like the Elgato Camlink, different Elgato tools. I used to use Blackmagic external capture devices. I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head, but the capture cards I'm currently using are Blackmagic Intensity Pro 4K capture cards. So I have 4K capability for streaming. And I don't use OBS. Now OBS, by all accounts, is great. My experience trying to use OBS when I started was terrible. I tried to use OBS on Mac back when I started streaming, and in my experience, it was unreliable, buggy, and not easy to use on the Mac. Now, that's my experience. I'm not trying to trash the software. I'm just saying that was my experience. Lots and lots of people love and swear by OBS. I now actually stream on a PC because I needed the power, the graphics power, to actually handle all the streaming that I wanted to do. The software that I use is called Wirecast, which is paid software. It's fairly expensive, but for me it was worth it to pay for it because it just works. And occasionally I do have problems with it, but there's actually also support that I can call to get help, and it's way, way, way easier and better, more reliable and more consistent in my experience than OBS was when I tried to use it. So I use Wirecast to stream to YouTube or Facebook or wherever I happen to be streaming. And then I have a Mackie Pro FX 8 mixer that also runs into the computer for my sound. So that's my setup, Elaine. If you have more questions about it, feel free to ask. Hello, Kuchi's Heart. How are you? Thank you. I'm glad that everyone here watching is also safe. I'm very happy that everyone's doing okay. Check out JPEG to RAW AI and Topaz Labs. Good test with these photos. Interesting. I'd never heard of that. So what they do is they try to sort of rebuild raw data from a JPEG. That sounds pretty interesting. I'm going to look that up. AI Topaz JPEG to RAW. All right, I'm going to come back to that because I'm sure that's computer based and I'm on the iPad and I'm not really set up to switch over to that. So anyway, back to the images here. These are pretty great with the giant eyeball. I think I like that one. Oh, I like that too. That's super interesting. We're a little off there. And then we did these with the didgeridoo, which I ended up being, I'm pretty happy with this one. Oh, I like it better when she makes eye contact. Now this, obviously, we lose a ton of quality on Angela because of the webcam. But, again, we're embracing this. Question about my half glove. Is that for avoiding accidental inputs? Okay, so, Karsten, no, it actually doesn't avoid accidental inputs. I can actually, I'm using my finger right now, my gloved finger, to touch the screen. It's more about smudge prevention and friction, you know, reduction for my palm and the side of my hand when I'm using the pencil and I'm editing. So it doesn't stop touches. However, when you're using the pencil, I found, in my experience at least, that the iPad is pretty good, and most apps are pretty good at differentiating and doing and following the palm rejection. Although I will say also that when I edit in Affinity Photo, I actually turned off finger inputs for all of the tools. I'll show you what I mean when I get into Affinity. But let me grab the glove link for you so you can see what I'm using. Yeah, I know, Elaine. It seems like with this lockdown and with everybody live streaming, everybody in the world live streaming, you can't buy a capture card or a capture device to save your life. I actually, which is interesting because I have a bunch of extra capture stuff from when I was streaming on my Mac, but whoops, I can't type and talk at the same time, that I'm not currently using. Okay, so I'm about to put the half glove link into the chat here. Let me just get it up. There we go. There you go. And hopefully there's something similar on Amazon Denmark. But it should give you an idea of what to search for, at least. Yeah, and it like if you were trying to put together a live stream setup, I'd be happy to answer further questions about that. Okay, so we did a different angle. Here we go. With the didgeridoo with her leg out that I really liked. And I definitely like the eyes open. It creates a stronger connection with these particular photos. So I want to just grab a couple more pics here so that I have a few things to edit. I think I like... Which one? This I definitely like eye contact with the camera, so I think we're gonna... That one I actually like. But I think I like it over here where the color's more intense. Like here, right here, I like that one a lot. Okay, so I have some pics here. No problem, Karsten. Am I saying that right? Yeah, Karsten, okay, good. All right, so I'm just gonna do a quick filter, and we're gonna see what our pics look like. And these are some pics. So let's start with just some play around with some raw editing and see what happens. So I'm not going to get much, yeah, because it's JPEG, I didn't expect to get anything out of the profiles. Let's just take a quick, no, we're not going to worry about profiles. So let's see what kind of highlight recovery we're going to get here. Not much of anything. I didn't expect much. You know, it's a JPEG, that's what happens. And I don't like the way it kind of starts to look gross when you go too far with that. So I don't want to overexpose more, I don't think. I think I'll bring the exposure down here. Let me see where my screen's at. Okay, good. And what do I want to do with the shadows? I think I actually want to darken the shadows of here to create a little bit more contrast. This is going to be like super quick. Add a little bit more color. I mean, I'm not really going to sharpen these because there's almost nothing to sharpen. Yeah, I really like these, Elaine. I like them a lot. I have a couple of them Like, I have one stashed in my bag, so I always have it with me when I'm on the go, and then I keep one, you know, in the studio so that when I'm in here, I can put it on and edit. So right now, I'm using Lightroom on the iPad to do these raw edits and to do the culling that I was doing. I just want to see what happens if I add some texture. It's going to add a little bit of detail just because it creates some additional contrast, but obviously, like, that starts to look gross if you go too far. So we're just going to, we'll go like 17. What's clarity do? Ooh, that's also terrible if I go too far, which, again, I expected. Yeah, that's okay. No vignette. I'm not going to bother sharpening because that's what sharpening does. You know, actually, that's kind of interesting. Huh. You know, I kind of like the way it looks, like super over sharpened. Do I like it when I zoom out, though? No, I don't. Yeah, it doesn't look good that way. So let's take this sharpening down to something more reasonable. Okay. Well, no, I pay, Camille, I pay for the Lightroom. I pay for the photography plan for Adobe. I pay $20 a month for the 1 terabyte storage option. So I have Photoshop and Lightroom. Although, to be perfectly honest, I don't use Photoshop or Lightroom on the desktop, like, at all. The only time I bring up Lightroom on the desktop is just when I'm sitting at the computer and I need to pull up a photo, and then I pull it up in Lightroom. I do all of my editing on the iPad. I love editing on the iPad. It's a really, in my opinion, it's a really great, wonderful way to edit. So you can download Lightroom for free on the iPad, and you can sign up for a free trial. But after the trial, if you want to continue to use Lightroom, you have to pay for it. The reason I use Lightroom on the iPad, there's 2 principal reasons. Number one, in my opinion, it's the best raw editing software for the iPad. Now, that's an opinion. I did a comparison of a bunch of different RAW editors on my channel, and you can find those videos, and you can see that there are actually some very good RAW editing tools out there, including Affinity Photo, Pixelmator Photo. Those are some options there. Also, the other reason I like Lightroom on the iPad and prefer it for doing my RAW edits and my organization is just that. In my opinion, on the iPad, Lightroom is the best organizational tool for your photos at a quote-unquote professional level. You know, it allows you to do the culling, make selects, you know, mark things like with favorites, add your keywords, and all of those sorts of things. So that's why I use Lightroom on the iPad, and I pay for it happily. Okay, so we have a base edit, and I'm just going to copy the settings and paste those across all of the rest of the photos. So we're going to copy those, and then we're going to go back, and we're going to select the rest of these, and we're going to paste it. And then I use, so once I'm done with my raw edits, I use Affinity Photo for my raster edits, as it were. So any kind of composite work and retouching and things of that nature is all done in Affinity Photo on the iPad. So you're going to see some of that here in a moment. All right, so let's grab one of these and take it into Affinity and see what we can do with it. So I actually think I want to start with this one here with the green globe. So let's go ahead. We're going to share to. We're going to go TIFF, largest available dimensions, 8-bit, and we're going to shoot that off over to Affinity Photo. Oops, I got to shut this photo first. Here we go. Oh, thank you, hon. I appreciate that. All right, so the first thing I actually want to do is this purple halo, I think, is a little bit too much. I'm actually finding it distracting. So I'm going to, I created a pixel layer, and I'm basically just doing cleanup at this point. Spyros just copying me because I've been using the glove for years. Yeah, I mean, you know, I learned about these gloves recently, relatively recently, when I watched a YouTuber. I watched a YouTube video about Procreate, and I saw the user, the person who made the video using the glove, and I was like, oh my god, that's like, I need one. And so I ordered one to try it out, and it was perfect. So it's something that's new to me, but I think it's a great, you know, little thing to have in your editing toolkit if you edit on a tablet or on an iPad. All right, so I'm going to use the clone stamp tool, and we're going to just take out some of this halo here. It's a little bit too much. I want to keep some of it, but I'm going to take some of it out. All right, so just bring it down a little bit closer to the hairline, so it's not quite so out there. You know what I mean? That's the goal here. There we go. The one thing that I think it could use work in Affinity Photo on the iPad is the clone stamp tool and how making your selection works. But by and large, I'm fine with it and happy to use it. You know, working on an iPad like this isn't like, I think it's the future of editing. I've said that many times. And I love it as an editing system. I think that's still too much. But of course it's not perfect, because nothing is, you know. I mean, there's almost no perfect solution to anything. Just gonna bring it in a little bit closer to the hair. And yeah, that's a little bit better. So now I just got to fix up the sort of, you know, duplication that I made, which I'm going to do using the in-painting brush tool, which is like the content-aware fill brush in Photoshop. And that should clean everything up here. Still needs a little bit more. And sometimes you just gotta switch back and forth between the heel brush, as it were, and the clone brush, as it were. How do you select the sample zone for the cloning? Use the pen or the finger. I always have problems with that. Yeah, I use my finger. So when I'm making, you can't see what I'm doing. So let me hold it up so you can see it while I do it. So what I do is I hold my finger down to make the selection for sampling, and then once the sample is set, then I use the pen to actually use the brush and do the painting with it. So that's how I do it. And I mentioned I was going to show you the setting that I was talking about. So what I was talking about for settings with Affinity Photo, where is it? In interface, is it in interface? Tools. Here we go. Under tools, I turned on touch for gestures only, so that my fingers won't work for like the brush tools or any of those other tools. They're only for like gestures and interfaced work, and then the pen does all of the actual like editing work. And for me, that is the better setup. As far as this is using Affinity goes. And that's my preference. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time here just because it's not... Okay, the last thing I need to do is just clean up around here. Right there. Okay, that's good enough. All right, so I'm going to crop this in tighter So let's go ahead and we're just going to do a custom crop. Let's go unconstrained. There we go. So let's come in here. We want to keep the upper and lower and come in. How far do I want to come in? I wonder what it would look like square. Let's see what square looks like. So we're going to go 1 to 1. I think that's too tight. So we're going to take it to unconstrained, and I'm going to open it up. Yeah, I dig that. Sorry, error typing. The last mess was an oops. Thanks, I was always double tapping it, but it wouldn't do anything. Yeah, you have to hold, like to make the selection with the clone brush tool, what you need to do is like press with your, hold with your finger, and then slide your finger around until you're on the point that you want to be the source, and then release, and then you can use the pen to do the painting with the clone brush. That's how I do it. Okay, so let me go back to the crop tool just to bring that top. I got a little bit of, there we go. Okay, so we've got this here. So now let's add the glow into this. Let's try adding a glow into this globe. So we're gonna just, on a new layer, we're gonna go paint brush tool. Let's grab a green. Probably, we want something brighter because we want it to look like it's emanating, you know, the green. So let's go with, you know, let's try this as a starting point. Hardness, let's start like something like this. That might be too much. So we're just gonna do this. And then I'm going to take the smudge brush and I'm just going to smudge it out to give it some character and make it look a little bit more like a burst of light. Like so. Looks pretty good, but now I think it's a little big. So I'm actually going to just make it smaller. Yeah, I think that's good there. Okay. And now let's take a brighter green. So we're going to do a new layer. That one below, we're going to take a brighter green now. So let's pop up that saturation. Let's take the luminance up some. Let's try that. And we're going to paint that around behind it. Oh, I did it backwards. I need the brighter green in the center. Silly me. Okay, so that's right. We're just going to delete these two layers and start over. So we're going to do this one in the center. We're going to do it smaller, like so. Grab that smudge tool. And do this, and just shoot it out, like so. Add another layer below it, and grab that darker green, and paint that behind it. Not dark enough. Too much. That looks all right. And I think I'm going to take the opacity down on this layer, like that. And on this layer, like so. And we're going to do the same thing, grab the smudge tool, and on this other one, we're going to do some smudging outward. Too big. Okay, now I need to add a mask here. And with this mask layer... Hey, Wayne, how's it going, bud? Yeah, I haven't been on YouTube much lately, Wayne. I've been kind of hunkering down and taking a little bit of a break. I'm sort of starting to put my foot back out there and kind of do it some more. So, not promising any kind of, you know... regularity, but I'm going to be doing more stuff. Okay, so that is looking like a nice glow. Now, it's a glow, which means it's emanating light, which means that light needs to also be out on Angela, because that light would be reflecting off of her. So back to the brush tool, I got to go grab that color, that green. And this is going to look like crap initially, but what I'm going to be doing is painting this on her because it would be reflecting light on her, right? So a little bit up here. So this is going to look like trash at first, right? But don't worry. So we're just going to start with this. First thing I'm going to do is take it and run a blur on it, a Gaussian blur. And we're going to give it a pretty good blast. Like that, I think, is probably pretty good. Apply that. And then we're going to change the blending mode to probably soft light. There we go. Now you see what that does? That adds that green ambient light to this, which makes it look more realistic. So now we've got this looking like it's emanating green light. And it's a pretty easy thing to do, as you can see. So with that done, what else do I want to do here? What I do need to do with each one of these layers is make it also blend better. So I need to like add some noise and sort of crunch it up a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do is take these 3 layers and I'm going to do a merge selected. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Yeah. I think what I need to do is just run a bit of noise, principally on these 2 layers right here, because those 2 layers are a little too clean looking. So I'm going to go filter, and we're going to go to noise, and then what we want to do is add noise. So we're looking for monochrome Gaussian noise, and just something to sort of crunch it up. Not too much, because you don't want it to look like not part of it, you know what I mean? So like that's way too much there as an example. But if I take around like 9% or so, that just gives it a little bit more grit and makes it fit a little bit more. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other one. There. And now it looks more part of the image. Okay, so this is decent. Now, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I am going to try running my skin softening on this just to see if it will kind of smooth out the crunchiness, as it were, of just the lack of detail, you know what I mean? So I'm just gonna see what it does and decide if I like it. Now I don't want to go too aggressive. I don't want to get it in the makeup she's done. But I want to see what it looks like. Yeah, I think I like that it softens it up a little bit, and it makes the skin a little less harsh and crunchy due to the low quality nature of what we're working with. So I think I'm okay with that. I like it. I'm gonna go with it. Yeah, I dig it. I dig it. I dig it. I dig it. All right. Another thing I want to do, I'm just looking at the background here real quick. I just want to see if the in-painting brush will do a decent job of just hiding that. Current and below. Yep, perfect. Just fills it in. Gives us a little bit of something. Okay, so there's that. What else? I think now it's really just color grading. I could do a little bit of dodging and burning, but there's not a ton to work with here. But let's go ahead and throw it up there. So we're going to throw up my curves layers. And mainly I'm just going to do the hair. But let me see what I got here. All right. Yeah, I might as well do this. I might as well do like her face and stuff too. So we're going to just kind of come in here and let the light guide us, as it were. And you're probably not seeing much because the dodge and burn is usually a pretty subtle effect. It's a cumulative effect, though, of course. Mike, you know what I'm talking about. So you might not be seeing much of anything as I toggle it on and off, but it does make a difference. So let's go to burn, and we'll do the same thing with the burn tool. And just kind of give this a little bit of contouring. I'm also going to use the burn tool to kind of highlight the makeup that she did by just making it a little bit darker. And then the last thing I'm going to do, I think, is mess around a little bit with some color grading and see what that adds to it. Let me do the hair up real quick. One of the things that I'm planning to do, since you're spending a lot of time looking at the top of my head, I want to get some sort of like a drafting table so that I can work like this, so I don't have to put my head down like this. Or build myself one. I think it would be easy enough for me to just build like a little inclined stand. I just have to look at the wood I've got in the garage and decide what I need to do it with. Alright, so I'm going to just hit the hair a touch here with the dodge and burn tool. And then I'm going to start playing with some like color grading stuff just to see. Alright, I'm going to group those. Okay, so first I usually like to play with the curves tool and decide if I'm going to crush up some blacks or not. And if it adds anything by doing so. You know, I kind of like it like this. Yeah, I kind of do. What do you guys think? So that's with the blacks crushed. That's without. I think I like it with. What do you guys think? Excuse me. That's without. That's with. I'm feeling it with. I like it. I think I'm going to go with it. But I do want to hear what you guys think. And then a gradient map. So the question is, I'm going to try the orange and teal just to see what that looks like. So probably orange in the highlights, teal in the shadows. Let's start with that. There's our highlights. Let's take our shadows over here. I don't dig it. It's not doing anything for me. What do you guys think? I like without because I favor darker editing. Show the difference again. Okay, just a second. All right, so let me turn off the gradient map. That's off. This is without the curves adjustment, crushing the blacks. This is with the curves adjustment, crushing the blacks a little bit. So once again, this is without, and this is with. And I'm preferring it with. So that's where I'm sitting right now. You know, actually, now that I'm looking at it, I'm kind of feeling the gradient map a little bit more. I don't know if I like the teal, though. Let's see what... Maybe we just go straight up green for the background. I like that better. Yeah, I definitely like that better. Green for the shadows, so maybe something else rather than orange for the highlights. Let's play around. Kind of liking the purple. So there's orange. You know, maybe orange is alright, because it enhances her skin tone if I do that. Without, huh? I like it with. Alright, so this is where I'm at for the time being. So let me just show you before and after. So this is what I started with. And this is what I've ended with. I'm just looking at it and thinking about it. I think I like it. Yeah, I think I like it. Part of the reason I like it with the curves adjustment is it might be too aggressive because I don't know if I like the way it sort of makes her hair up here into this just sort of very dark. Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't want it so strong. Like somewhere around here. You know what I'm gonna do actually? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go and grab the brush tool. I'm actually going to brush it off of here. So that her hair isn't quite so crushed, you know? It leaves some detail there. Yeah, I'm liking that better because I'm not losing as much in the hair. yeah, I think that's it. Okay. I think that's it. I like it. What do you guys think? That is, I think, the final edit. I'm going to sit on it for a minute and just look at it and then go from there. Yeah, what do you guys think? I like it. Yeah, I like it. All right, so with that in mind, let's look back at here. And no, I'm just going to leave it for now. I was going to mess around with it a little bit more, but I think I'm just going to leave it as it is. Very nice. You guys like it? Cool. Yeah, I do too. I'm happy with it. I really wanted to, I like embracing the green. There's so much in the greenery that I think playing that up works out pretty nicely. I'm happy with it. I like it. I knew it wasn't going to do anything like super duper extreme as far as editing goes. You know, like, I mean, I didn't think I was. I didn't know. I was willing to leave it open, but I'm pretty happy with where it ended up right now. Okay, I think with that, I'm going to call it because it's almost dinner time, and I'm going to make us some dinner because I'm getting hungry. So, yeah. You know, considering the restrictions with which we captured this, you know, doing a screen capture, doing it over Skype, and me directing her and just using window light and like lamps and stuff that she had on hand. It was fun and interesting way to do a photo shoot, and we got some fun photos that I'm pretty happy with. You know, I like what we got, so I think it was cool. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. Like I said earlier, I'm kind of stepping back into doing more stuff on YouTube again. I'm not doing anything like once a week like I did before or whatever, but keep an eye out because I'll be doing more like streams and stuff like that, and I've got some video stuff planned coming to the channel soon, so keep an eye out for that. And outside of that, I hope everybody is stay safe and has a good night and a good weekend, and yep, bye.